that I made to make the change in my life was to throw my hands up and ask God to take over. That's really the only conscious decision.
You are listening to A Cup of SonRise, where we know a yawn is a silent scream for coffee. Now your host, Pastor Joe and Stada Indy.
And good morning. You are on A Cup of SonRise. We are back, and I'm so excited to be back.
Back again.
Back again. And I didn't make coffee this morning. Please forgive me.
That's very ironic.
You're going to be in Hebrews?
It's actually Psalms 46:1, but the reflection in what he writes is right on time.
All right, we're going to get into that daily devotional here in just a moment. But I am the one and only Pastor Joe with the one, the amazing, the incredible
Stada Rocks.
And good morning, guys. You're on Cup of SonRise. Hey, guys, we have an amazing guest. We're going to get to Mark here in just a moment. This guy, Mr. Mark Manila out of St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, guys, this guy has amazing intelligence, brilliance, smartness, and all those. That'd be safe to say, right, Mark?
Oh man, you're way overdoing it.
I'm just trying to build you up, Mark. I'm trying to build you up. We're going to talk to Mark Manila here.
It takes a lot, but thank you.
You are not going to want to miss this program as we're talking about integrity. We're talking about faith. We're talking about investing. We're talking about scripture. I mean, this Mark Manila is an amazing man. We're going to be talking about his ministry and what he does. But first, we're going to get into today's devotional. Stada, hook us up because we definitely need this devotional because since it is National Fruitcake Day.
Yuck.
Yucky cake.
Wait a minute. Really, look, does anybody really enjoy the fruitcake?
Now, wait a minute.
Two people in my life.
Mark, where you at on the fruitcake? Yay or nay?
You know, I love a good fruitcake. I really do.
Get
Okay,
out.
now, wait a
He's-
Good
minute.
fruitcake and a cup of coffee, and I'm happy. Yeah.
I bet you like those chocolate covered cherries too, don't you?
Those are good. Don't knock
Those
those.
are-
There was a time when I could eat those. Yes.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. Mark made a statement here because you know it's not true. I can't believe he even said that. He was very wise in the
What?
choosing of his words. He says, I like a good fruitcake. There's no such
There's
thing.
no such thing
as
as a good fruitcake. I've never
Sure,
had
there
one.
is.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
They hold the door open for years.
Now, I've never had a homemade, like grandma's homemade fruitcake or something like that. I've never had anything like that.
Well,
But because the ones that I have tried were just terrible, I was like, yeah, I'm done trying.
well,
I'm
my
done.
grandmother,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
she tried to make a fruitcake, but I think she got a little heavy in the rum before she got in the fruitcake. So we never got the fruitcake. So it's just my thought.
It happens.
It does. So how to give us that daily devotional.
All right. So today's devotional is, like I said, out of Psalms 46:1. God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. I like that.
Now, is that where the coffee comes in?
No,
in
listen,
trouble?
this is so valid. Listen, this is, by the way, the writer is Barry Young, 30-second devotional for first responders, but this is actually valid for everyone. So here's what he writes. Are you a morning person?
No, she's not.
I definitely am not. And that's this. I'm reading directly out of the book here. Coffee is my best friend. When Kelly and I were first married, I assume that's his wife,
Yes.
I told her that I didn't want to have any serious conversations in the morning because it takes me some time before I am awake and alert. This is so me, you guys. One of my favorite
hour. It takes an hour.
sometimes longer. One of my favorite things about God is he is always awake and ready to help us in our time of trouble. Therefore, if you are encountering hardships today in any area of your life, the good news is God created coffee, but he doesn't need it to function early in the morning or late at night. He is an ever-present help.
Wow.
hear you anytime.
That's good.
You can go to God any time of the day because He is always awake and ready to help you.
There you go.
I really liked that today
That
when
is
I was reading that.
okay. So
And ironically, Joe didn't make coffee when we got here, so I'm coffeeless.
Here's our routine, guys. We're gonna get to Mark here in a second, but I gotta tell you after this, I gotta tell you the routine. Okay, so I get up 30 to 40 minutes early before Stada does, and then I make the coffee, and then I sit for 30 to 40 minutes at the table, on the couch, whatever, drinking the coffee, doing whatever. I may be in the studio. It just varies, and to where I can function. And then I look at the time, and I go and I wake up. I go make Stada's coffee, and I take it to her in bed. I turn off our fan, turn the light on, and I touch her baby. Touch a sweetheart because I'm scared she'll bite me. So it's very gentle. And Mark, there has to be wisdom involved in this, man. And so,
absolutely.
Then there's the next 120 seconds of me waiting for her to stretch. I've got this thing down to a T, and I then hand her coffee, and I leave the room. And I know if we have to be here on this program at 7:30, we have to leave our house at 6:30, and I have to wake her up at 5:30. So I have my life in hour increments in the morning. So there is true story. So I don't know if I'm really a morning person as much as an awareness person in the mornings.
You do good, and
yes, I think
I
it's
greatly appreciate your morning routine that you have put in for yourself to help get me up. And
in other words, Mark, she has me trained.
Well, my wife and I are opposites. I'm a late night person, and she's a morning person. She lays down in the evening, and she immediately falls asleep. I mean, it's just amazing. I lay down and I toss and turn, and for about an hour and finally fall asleep. In the morning, she wakes up, boom, her eyes open, she's running. And this is like at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm like, until later on.
That does sound like Stada. Well, I think I get up in the morning. I'm not really necessarily in the morning because I can stay up late.
But Joe falls asleep so fast. I mean, within seconds, he falls asleep. And it takes me hours to fall asleep. And for instance, this morning, I felt like I was just sleeping pretty good. And I was laying on my back. And for some reason, I felt a light shining in my eyes. And I was like, what in the world is that? I peep over and Joe is on his cell phone playing a game.
I was winning.
And I'm like, are you serious?
I was winning.
I'm honestly thinking about getting another bedroom just so I can sleep well because sleeping is beginning to be a problem for me.
And guys, this is marital advice. When they come up with that, I'm getting another room. What that means is you're about to get your own man cave. Congratulations.
Is that what it means?
That's what that means. You're about to get your own man cave. Congratulations, guys.
Good times.
Let's talk to Mr. Mark Manell. Guys, listen. I've known Mark 7-8 years now. Mark, something.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. We met.
My phone's falling over. Excuse me.
I'll kill some time for you, Mark, while you're balancing, playing with special effects.
Thanks.
But
special effects, is that what we call it now? Phone falling off the desk. Yeah.
Yes, this is special.
Okay, I can hold it.
But we met at the International Film Fest in Branson, Missouri. Deborah Watson. I was the MC for the event. Mark was one of the speakers. Now, Mark is out from St. Louis and makes a living with Integrity Investments. And then we'll be talking about the ministry, More Than Money Ministries. Now his background, he's kind of a rocker. We was over his house a couple of weeks ago. He's got all these guitars. He's in there playing, man. I was having a great time, Mark, getting in there, and he's playing. Oh yeah, there you go. He's playing some old music. I was digging it. We were talking music. We were all up in the middle of it, and then we just kind of hit it off when we first met 8 years ago. And in fact, they put me and Mark in a corner in that one building, and I think there was but me and Mark was skipping class And
I heard about that.
Pretty much.
I think we were supposed to have been there for something, but we spent in the corner hanging out and talking, just having a good time, and build a relationship over this. Now, Mark, you do, and this was actually the first time 8 years ago when you were telling me about what you did, when you were doing your when you were speaking and teaching there in Branson 8 years ago, because it was talking. I believe, if I remember correctly. You were talking about investing because a lot of these guys were investing in their films and different things like that. And so now with you do with integrity investing, we have a faith-based, and there's some homework and some research that you did because being faith-based. And so am I still on Mark after 8 years of this, Mark?
You're still on Mark, yeah.
Okay,
You're
cool.
still, yeah.
Cool.
Biblical
So
responsible. We call it biblically responsible investing now. Many years ago, like 35 years ago, when we started the movement, we called it faith-based investing or moral-based investing. But that all changed because what we started to find was most people really wanted to invest in alignment with their beliefs, but what beliefs and what morals and what values? So to define that, we wanted to make it very clear that we're talking about the morals of the Bible, the faith of Jesus Christ, in Jesus Christ. And the only way to define that was to say Bible based, because it's all based on biblical ethics, how to invest in alignment with God's desires for you and what he has bestowed upon you to be a steward over. And that takes us back 35 years. Over the years, it's progressed. In the early years, it was more like, there was like 4 or 5 of us who were doing this. Art Alley from the Timothy Plan, Tom Filer up in New York. He had an advisory service. There was just a handful of us doing this, and we were trying to educate Wall Street about it because so many people on Wall Street say they are believers, and yet the way they run their businesses and their trading and their investing doesn't reflect it at all. So we started the National Association of Christian Financial Consultants and started training up stockbrokers and Wall Street personnel to understand what is God's desire for people's investment. What's really interesting about this is if you think about investing, it's the froth of everything God has given us. It's not, our daily bread. He provides us that. It's not, all the things we need to get by. He does that. This is the froth, that which we don't really need. It's above and beyond our daily need. And that's what people put into investments. And what really blows my mind, or especially way back then when we started this, was there'd be so many people who would say, well, if I can't invest in this stock or that stock because they're involved in abortion or pornography or whatever you want, any sin you want to talk about, they say I can't invest. If I can't invest in those, I can't make money. It just blew my mind that people would think that even with the froth, this extra that God has given you, the overflowing amount that God has given you, you can't even use that to honor God, even if your assumption of not being able to make money isn't true, because we proved over the years that you can perform just as well with or without all those sin stocks. And that's what investing with biblical integrity really is about. It comes down to stewardship, Joe. A lot of people don't take stewardship too deeply, but here's a thought. The Bible, somebody once told me that Bible stood for basic instructions before leaving earth. Sounds pretty good to me. And if you think about that, God created everything. He created everything from the stars to the smallest quirk to everything in between. He created energy. He created the concepts of money and the physics of money as well. When people think of stewardship, I often think they believe they're thinking about something that God is trying to tell them what to do with their money, instead of realizing that the God who created how money works was actually trying to tell them how to use money so that it truly works for them and everybody else, so that it's perfect in its function. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, actually. So
You
now
know, and so
with
that's what stewardship really is, utilizing God's resources for God's purposes to God's glory. And in doing so, it works for everything else, including yourself. So we started running and doing what we call biblically responsible investing for those people who wanted to be able to invest with biblical integrity. Been doing it for over 35 years. And just recently, we merged with another company called Faith Investor Services, who has this passion to do the same thing and would like to see me more out talking about it and educating than managing money. So they're going to take over all the back office and the client facing, and I'm going to get out and promote biblical wisdom regarding
so
stewardship and investing with integrity.
so now with that, because what you're getting ready to go into with doing the speaking and doing these different things and educating people about it, and you made a great point earlier when you said, most people, well, they're going to invest their money, but they're going to invest in things that are ungodly. So I mean, how does somebody who's looking to do some investments, retirement or whatever, how do they know that what they're investing into is something that is going to glorify God, or is just going to put more things into the world, pornography and all these different things? How's that something that that the individual, the average Joe, if you will, would be able to know that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The average person originally couldn't. That's what was really hard. It would take over a year for me to screen out a company to figure out what they're doing with the. Well, sometimes it's really easy. If a company is, a casino, it's a casino, right? If
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
brothel,
Right.
it's a brothel. If it's an abortion clinic, it's an abortion clinic. So you wouldn't
Mhm.
invest in those, hopefully. But oftentimes you don't know what else. For example, a company could be a pharmaceutical company that is working on drugs for cancer and curing cancer and doing all sorts of stuff. But at the same time, they could also be creating drugs to kill babies in the womb.
Right.
So you have to do your research on it. In the early years, we'd have to write these companies and get all their information. And then it was really hard. So we started an organization called Evaluator Services. It's a separate entity that is not owned by any of us so that we could keep it pure. And what they do is all the data research on all these companies to find out what they do, how they do it, and what they do with the profits, because that's just as important. If a company makes toys here, I'll give you an actual. If a company makes baby food, and they make really good baby food, healthy baby food, but then they give their money to Planned Parent, or some of the profits to Planned Parenthood um,
Wow.
to kill babies. We just won't invest in that baby food company. First of all, because they're outright stupid, they're killing their clients. But secondly, because they're
Absolutely. Absolutely.
obviously anti-life and don't
Right.
believe that what God's created is precious. And that's a real scenario, by the way. And I don't even have to
Wow.
name the name of the company for you to know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a big name going in my head right
Mine
now.
too.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
But and that's the intellect part right there, guys. So I mean, we have these. So this is when we come into a business like Integrity Investment, to where they've done this research already. So the average Joe, me, I come on the street and I say, "Hey, listen, Mark, I've got X amount of dollars, and I want to invest, but I want to know." That it's going to go into where I'm going to make God happy. I'm not investing into some type of worldly thing or something that's using slave labor, et cetera, et cetera. Is this where I can come and
Yeah,
rely on you? Okay. So now what
absolutely.
is,
We screen everything. We screen everything almost weekly. Everything we own for clients, everything that's in their accounts, anything we're thinking to buy. Integrity Investors has a three-part investment philosophy: biblical, financial, fundamental, and technical. So what we do is we look at everything from a biblical perspective first. Does it pass God's um, tenets of love? Is about the bottom line, the way to say it. If it fits in with God's tenets of love, then we look at it fundamentally to see how this company works, if it's solid, if it's what it's made of. And then finally, we look at the technical analysis to help us decide how to move in and move out of it, when to move in and when to move out. So it's very complicated, and we spend a lot of money and time doing the research, but it's worth it. But here's what's really interesting. Evaluator Services has launched a free screening service. Um, oh my gosh, I got to remember. I think it's Click It, Screen It, or something like that. But it's free. You can go out and do your own. Let me look it up, or maybe I'll wait till a break and I'll look it up and then come back and tell everybody how to find it, where they can screen their own stocks and their own mutual funds.
So there is a way to where you can screen it. I mean, granted, a company like yours has already done it, but even when you're sitting there in front of the computer and you're looking to invest, you have now a source to where you can go and take a look.
Yes, every individual can do it on their own, and it doesn't cost any. Also, as far as investing, a lot of people say, well, investing can be complicated, and it can, or it can be really simple, which it can, but that makes it even more dangerous because the markets are a jungle, and even more so with artificial intelligence. And 70% of all trades done on the New York Stock Exchange, I read recently, are done by a computer, not by a person, by an algorithm. So it's getting scarier and scarier. But there's another way. With Faith Investor Services, the company that we're merged into, they have an ETF that is actively managed, similar to how we manage that Integrity Investors. An ETF is an exchange traded fund. It's a mutual fund. So you could buy one symbol, the symbol is pray. You could buy that and then get all the same money management as you would if you had $1 million. So if you had $500 or $25 or 5,000 or 5 million, you could get the same management that the 5 million would get.
Okay, so now you just made a statement there because you said no matter with how much money that you need to or that you want to invest, there's a way. So we're gonna go back to the average, not just the average Joe, but the average broke Joe. But he's got like $25 to his name. Can somebody with no matter what? Because I know you and I kind of had a partial conversation of this some time ago. But somebody on a lower end, they want to do something. They've got a little bit of extra. They want to be wise. They got $25 to do. Is that something that's feasible for somebody that's just trying to make ends meet and trying to be wise with the decision with what God's given them?
Okay, I want to share with you that it is possible to do that, but I'd also like to share with you that wisdom is needed before you do that. Because oftentimes when people want to invest, and I understand this, they may not have all the basics covered first. If they're living check to check and at any moment they may need that money that's in their investment to pay the rent or to get the insurance on the car or whatever it may be, maybe it's not time to do that, but it's time to build a buffer zone instead of liquidity, something that, going into a money market and building up what I call a buffer zone and getting that buffer zone built before you go into investments. Because the last thing you want to do is get into an investment and then watch it grow and then it has a crash or it pulls back real hard. And that's when you need it, Okay. So you put in $100, it goes to 125, then down to 75, and then you need it. You may not want to be in that position. You may want to wait and build a financial buffer zone. I call it a moat around your castle. You remember the olden days, Joe? You're that old when they had moats around the castle.
Yeah. My neighbors.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why do they put moats around their castle? It was to protect the castle, right? And that's the whole idea. What a moat around your castle financially means is you start building up liquid assets. Get it? Liquid moat. Think about it, Joe. Liquid.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there?
I'll get that one next week, Mark.
Okay. So you build up a moat around your castle with money that is maybe earning a little bit, but not what the market could do. Right now money markets are making 3 to 5%, so that's not bad. But you put it in there, and that money is for those occasional expenses, like paying the personal property tax once a year, or renewing your tags on your car, or doing these different things that come around that cause most people to have to go in debt to do it, to use a credit card or something. Now you have that where you're putting a little bit in there every month to build that up, so you don't have to go to credit card and or go rob your investments to do it.
Right.
So that's what that's for. So step one is to realize where you're at and what you need to get by every month, and to know that money, where that money goes in. Step two is to start building that moat around your castle, built up of the occasional expenses and those unexpected. You say, how do you prepare for unexpected? You just think about it. What could happen? Well, okay, we'll build a little bit buffer and all that. And then you go to the investments.
Okay. So now this is going to bring me to my next question with More Than Money Ministries. Because with doing just the small amount of teaching that you did here was amazing. Is this where More Than Money Ministries comes in? Not only on the investments, give direction for those people and individuals that are needing that type of education. Now, is this where More Than Money Ministries kicks in?
It is, because the basics of stewardship, coming down to realize God owns it all, and then going from there to realize He created the physics of how money works. And if you learn those, you can do better and start realizing the potential that God has for you in all He's bestowed upon you. So More Than Money now is a 501c3 that was set up specifically originally to help people in poverty, to educate and help them to grow out of poverty, and instead of being a depot of blessings from others, to start being a conduit of blessings to others. And we helped mentor a few people out of poverty over the years, my wife and I, and then we moved to doing some other things, like around Christmas we try to adopt a family or two that just have tried and failed over the years. So we'll go in and help them financially to catch up on bills, and maybe make sure they have, you will usually have mom go shopping with there's a mom in the house, we'll have her go shopping with one of the ladies associated with us to go buy their kids the presents that they would want them to have, and then find something for her as well. Things like that. More Than Money is growing though, and we're going to start a whole concept of teaching biblical stewardship. And don't turn off the radio when you hear that. This is good stuff. Imagine if somebody came, you're on Facebook, or you're on Twitter or TikTok or something. Somebody says, right now you could sign up and learn the secrets of finance and money. The mystics of money. I mean, it's all in the Bible, but we're going to teach that to people for free. We're going to make sure people understand how God created the whole concept of money and possessions, and what it's to be used for, and how by using it properly, it not only benefits you, but it benefits everybody. Just like investing, it doesn't only benefit you. If you invest properly, you can invest in companies that are doing good in this world, that are curing diseases, that are helping people, that are providing products and service that makes our life better. You do that by investing in startups, but then to help them grow, you can be invested in them and profit from their success as well. So everybody benefits when you invest properly. And that's just one little inkling of the whole concept of what it means to be a great steward. Now imagine if you did that with where you worked, and you're thinking, how does this impact the world? Well, think about this. There's a very popular Christian guy out there who says that he doesn't believe in investing with biblical integrity, because you're not really investing. You're not giving the money to the company, so therefore it doesn't matter what you invest in. Well, that's just downright crazy if you think about it. when you invest in a company, you are actually increasing the viability of that company. You're promoting that company. You're increasing its treasury. You're increasing everything, even if the money doesn't go directly to that company. You're promoting abortion, pornography,
Yes.
anti-family, sexual immorality, all these things by investing in these companies who are putting their monies into it. They can issue more stock because everybody's buying their stock. They can do all these crazy things because of it. By removing your money is the oxygen of business. When you remove your money from the businesses that are contra to you, what you believe, you are actually starting to starve those wildfires that are burning down our society. If everybody who claimed to be a Christian would only invest in those companies who at the very least did not compromise God's tenets of love, our society would change overnight. If you think about all the stuff that went on in the last 30 years and how our society has changed, the majority of that was done through corporations pushing on you what you're supposed to believe other than the
True.
church. Pushing on you
True.
that it's okay to do this or all right for that. Pushing on you to rely on the government and not rely on your church or one another. Pushing on you that you deserve this and not that. It's just the whole, anybody who thinks that corporations don't have that kind of power is just crazy. I mean, think about it. Why would somebody pay $1.5 million for a 30-second ad at a football game?
Right.
Why?
Exactly.
Or
Exactly.
100 million? I mean, if it
Yeah, because
didn't work, they wouldn't do it. If they didn't think they could program you, they wouldn't do it. So
exactly.
learning how money works, learning how God designed it to work to benefit you, to benefit everyone else. God doesn't need your money. He created it. He can create all he wants. He just wants you to utilize it in a fashion that glorifies him. And when it glorifies him, it means it glorifies you and everyone else.
Listening to Mark talk, this you could even take this concept to the extreme, not with just investing your money in that way, but even with the places that you shop, the retail places that you shop, the places that you buy your groceries, and even further than that, the
Absolutely.
things, the brands, if you will, that you purchase in those stores.
Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah,
You know,
exactly. I mean, and I'll just, years ago, 7, 8, 9 years ago, maybe less than that, Georgia, they put in they changed, well, just a few years ago, I guess, changed the abortion law. And Atlanta is like one of the largest filming in areas to be filmed, and so they have discounts or deductions, whatever, for filming companies. And they invested a lot of money into Atlanta. These filming places do to rent places, to pay people salaries, etc. Well, when Georgia says, "Hey, we're going to change the abortion law and make it," the term was illegal, whatever. And Netflix said, if you do this, not only will we pull from filming in Atlanta and all those people will lose money, but we will sue you.
oh wow,
And I think at that time I was paying $11 a month for Netflix. And they said, we will sue you and take you to court. Well, bravo to Atlanta. They didn't, or to Georgia, they didn't yield to Netflix. And they said, we did it. And they did. Now, whether they pulled or not, I don't know. But I will tell you that I know and I read where a lot of people pulled, faith based Christians pulled from Netflix because of what they were doing.
right.
And I think with what Mark's bringing in with this teaching and this education for Christians is so important and we need to understand the value of this on here.
Awareness, because a lot of these things are not really things I would have ever thought of, even,
Right?
well,
Yeah.
certainly not before I was a Christian, but
Well,
even after I was, even
here,
after I gave my life
I'm
to the
gonna get-
Lord,
I'm
these are
gonna
some
get-
things I wouldn't have thought of.
I'm going to get in trouble right now. But here's one of the things that I love about what Mark does. It's not a name it, claim it religion.
Right.
There's some work that you have to put
No.
into it. There's this that you have to do. There is some thought process. There's some growth that you have to put into this. And that's it's not a name it, claim it. It's, it's not one of those health, wealth, and whatever. This goes into putting the work, focusing your relationship and your finances and your time into what God wants. I mean, would I be correct in that, Mark?
Absolutely. And you're touching on a whole lot of things. First of all, the idea you went from biblical responsible investing to avoiding stores that not only don't hold your values, but actually are trying to destroy them, to
Yes.
avoiding products by companies who are doing the same thing. And that's the way the brain works. And what I found over the years is once people get investing with biblical integrity, it opens up all these pathways of how to glorify God, how to live a
Right.
life that impacts society in in a positive way because of that. It just opens up all those things. But then, like you said, Joe, it goes even deeper. The whole idea of I mean, even if how's the best way to say this? Even if it had nothing to do with money, what if you knew somebody who was a drug dealer who was dealing drugs that were killing people, that he also was a hitman, and he also was doing child trafficking and prostitution? And you could tell me, well, it's okay if I hang with him, Mark. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I might even just partner with him. No, we know better than that. We're not to partner with the evil in this world. When you buy a stock is ownership. So when you buy a stock, you buy, like you mentioned Netflix. You buy Netflix stocks. You are becoming a partner in Netflix. You are partnering with them, and being a partner, you legally will earn profits from all they do, whether it's good or evil, and you will partner in with them on those things. The Bible tells us very quickly, very decisively, not to partner with evil over and over again,
Absolutely.
and
So
who
it's
we should
kind of
hang
like
with and who we shouldn't.
it's kind of like a guilty by association,
It's exactly,
if you will.
you're
Well,
supporting. If
but
you're paying,
worse, you actually are profiting from the evilness that occurs.
Right.
and if you're paying
I'm
into that,
starting to flip
wherever
through
that
this little
is,
book here.
let's go ahead and get
This
it. We've
little
only got a
book here.
couple
Can you
minutes
see?
left. Yeah, let's get into that. Where can they find that book? That's a book that Mark has written.
Well, you can
What's the
get it
name of
on
that book?
Amazon or anywhere. It's called the Wall Street Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
You can get on Amazon, or you could just call Joe or the station, and if somebody's listening and who really would like to learn more about how to invest with biblical integrity, hey Joe, can we give maybe 5 of these away to people?
Absolutely. In fact, on the morning show, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or if you send a message, I tell you what, if you send a message right here on this Facebook feed, of course, I look at this thing every day. You say, hey, I want that book. We'll hook you up. The first five in this Facebook feed on Acts Media Group, we will hook you up with that book. I've read that book. It's a great book. Mark signed it for
I'll
me.
even
I'm hoping
autograph it for them.
there we go.
I
Mark,
think y'all just took the joy out of my shopping sprees, but now I've got so many things going in my head. Like, Mark, where am I going to buy my boots at now? I got some research to do.
all right. So we got less than 60
Yeah.
seconds. Mark, what's your website that they can go to, take a look at? How can they contact you? That kind of information.
IntegrityInvestors.com or FaithInvestorServices.com. They can
And
go out
there's
to
also
those.
and there is also a radio show coming up on MTM Broadcasting as well, if I'm correct.
That's correct. There's several. One of them is called Hey Mark,
Yes.
which
Yes. Hey, Mark.
we will be, you and I will be answering questions live regarding everything financial from a biblical perspective.
And you can find that on Live 365 MTM Broadcast. And Mark, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Guys, we got to rock and roll out of here. We'll be back next week. We got a guest coming in. Who it is? No idea, but I'll let you know. This is Pastor Joe. Mark, thank you. Appreciate you so much. This is Pastor Joe Inman.
God bless.
I'm out of here.
Not a rocks. Be safe.